Welcome students to the third part of chapter number 4, that is History of Indian Arts. This video is presented by Grecienne Misquitta. The following images used in this video are taken from different internet websites. Our learning objectives in this video will be the Islamic architectural style building, that is Gol Gumbaz. Then we are also going to look at the Indo-Gothic style, that is the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminus, after which we are going to talk about the Indian tradition of performing art, the meaning of art, applied art, and professional opportunities because of art. In the previous part, we looked at sculptural art, that is folk style of sculptural art and classical style of sculptural art. We also looked at the meaning of Indian iconography, architecture and sculpture, in which we discussed about rock-cut caves in India. We also discussed about the temple architecture in India that began to develop around the 4th century CE, and the different styles of temple architecture, that is the Nagara style, the Dravida style, etc. After which we discuss the pre-Islamic native Indian style of architecture that included the Qutb Minar and the Taj Mahal. Bijapur is also known as a city of victory. It was a major site for Islamic architecture from the early Muslim era in India. Although the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb was defeated, the Adil Shahi dynasty left a legacy of outstanding Islamic buildings, including the domed tomb of Gol Gumbaz and the mausoleum of Ibrahim Rauza. We are going to talk about the Gol Gumbaz. The Gol Gumbaz at Bijapur in Karnataka was built in the 17th century CE. This grand building houses the burial of Muhammad Adil Shah of Bijapur. Inside the dome, after which the building is named, there is a round gallery. Even a slight whisper by a person standing in this gallery can be heard everywhere. And if somebody claps from here, it echoes can be heard many times. During the British period, a new architectural style arose in India. It is known as the Indo-Gothic architectural style. The Indo-Gothic style of architecture was developed by the British in British India in the late 19th century. This style of architecture was a combination of native Indo-Islamic architecture with the Gothic revival style of Victorian Britain. The buildings built in India by Indo-Gothic style of architecture were built according to advanced British structural engineering standards of the 1800s, including infrastructures of iron, steel, and concrete. These type of buildings were employed with domes, pointed arches, etc. Structures built in Indo-Gothic style in India were mainly grand public buildings like clock towers, courthouses, colleges, town halls, offices, railway stations, etc. Also, it included churches, government offices, residences of top officials. The building of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Railway Terminus in Mumbai is the finest example of the Indo-Gothic architecture, and it is declared as a World Heritage Site. Some more examples of Indo-Gothic style of architecture in Mumbai are the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai, Gateway of India, etc. And in India, we have the Mysore Palace in Karnataka, Rambagh Palace in Jaipur, Khalsa College in Amritsar, are some examples of the Indo-Gothic style of architecture. Well, let's move on to the next part of the chapter, that is, the Indian traditions of performing arts. Let's start by discussing what is the meaning of performing arts. Performing arts are basically arts such as music, dance, drama that is performed in front of an audience. Coming to the Indian traditions of performing arts, we have music, dance, and theatre. The two main schools of classical music, that is, Hindustani and Carnatic music, continue to survive through oral traditions being passed on by teacher to disciples. Dance in India has an unbroken tradition of over 2000 years. Its themes are derived from mythology, legends, classical literature, etc. Theatre in India is as old as her music and dance. Classical theatre survives only in some places. Folk theatre can be seen in different regions. Now students, let's discuss the very first part of Indian traditions of performing arts, that is folk arts. India has independent and varied traditions of folk songs, folk instrumental music, folk dances, and folk theatre, which are characteristics of every particular region. For example, students, we have cultural day performances in our schools and colleges where we perform or display different types of folk music, dances, or theatre. There exist many rich traditions of folk performing arts in Maharashtra also. They developed as an integral part of the religious festivals and social life. To name a few examples, we may mention Kori dance, Tarappa dance, Dashavatar of Konkan, Povada, Kirtan, Jagar Gondhal, etc. Let us now talk about the traditions of classical performing arts. India has a rich heritage of classical performing arts too. The text of Natya Shastra, written by Bharat Muni, is supposed to be the earliest one discussing music and theatre. The nine moods, also known as the nine rasas, supposed to be the fundamental in the presentation of Indian performing arts, that are Shringar, which means love, Hasya, which means humor, Bibhasta means repulsion, Raudra means terrible, Karuna, which means sad, Veer, which means heroic, Bhayanak, which means fearful, Adbhut, which means wondrous, and Shant, which means peaceful. These terms are basically taken from the Sanskrit script. The very first style of performing arts we are going to discuss is music. Indian people came into contact with different cultural traditions of other nations across the globe, and that resulted into blending of many different streams in the presentation of Indian performing arts, enriching them over time. As a result, many styles of presenting classical vocal music, instrumental music, and dance came into existence. Various schools preserving those styles were also created. Our music was influenced due to the different rulers who ruled over India in the past century. Music can be a social activity, but at the same time, it can also be a spiritual experience for some. Ancient Indians were deeply impressed by the spiritual power of music, and it is out of this that Indian classical music was born. There were two main branches of Indian classical music, that is, the Hindustani music, also known as the North Indian tradition classical music, and the Carnatic music, also known as the South Indian tradition classical music. Similarly, there are two forms of it: classical, that is Shastriya, and semi-classical, that is Upshastriya. Semi-classical and light classical performances are like classical music, but they involve considerable improvisation and less instrumental accompaniment. Let us now talk about one example of the Hindustani classical music. The ruler of Bijapur, Ibrahim Adil Shahi II, wrote a text in Dakhani Urdu language entitled Kitab-e-Navras. This text is about Indian classical music. It includes verses sung in the Dhrupad style and enables the audience to experience the joy of excellent poetry. Dhrupad is the most ancient style of Hindustani classical music that has survived until today in its original form. The Dhrupad tradition is a major tradition of Indian culture. The nature of Dhrupad music is spiritual and not entertaining. This text is originally translated in Marathi by Dr. Sayyadhyaya Nashit. It is edited by Dr. Arun Prabhune. The translation of the verse printed on the cover of this text reads as follows: O Mother Saraswati, you are the divine light in the world, and you are complete with all qualities. If Abraham receives your grace, that is blessings, the poetry of the Navras will become eternal. The next type of performing arts we are going to look at is dance. A beautiful blend of all three forms of music, vocal, instrumental, and dance can be seen in various Indian classical dance forms like Kathak of North India, Lavani of Maharashtra, Odissi of Odisha, Bharatnatyam of Tamil Nadu, Kuchipudi of Andhra, and Kathakali and Mohiniyattam of Kerala. In India, in the post-independence period, various festivals of music and dance are organized with a view to make it accessible to common people. Many people attend these festivals, including Indians and foreigners alike. The Savai Gandharva festival of Pune is a famous one. Lately, we can see an inclination toward experimenting and creating fusion of various music styles by trying to overcome the limitations imposed by a traditional style or school. Pandit Uday Shankar is a prominent name among such artists who created a new style. He successfully created a fusion of Indian classical dance and European opera. He also included various forms of folk dance in his style. Thus, the scope of the presentation of Indian performing arts seems to be constantly expanding. The same phenomena is apparent in the field of Indian visual arts. The next topic we are going to talk about is art history and how art has evolved over a period of time. Art history is an independent branch of knowledge. Various opportunities of research are available in this field. Art historians can work in the field of journalism. The art market is an independent field in itself. It calls for special expertise to assess and evaluate the exact value of an art object or to ensure that it is genuine. An expert with deep understanding of art history is required for this task. Heritage management and cultural tourism are recently developed fields. In these fields, students of art can find many professional opportunities. Museums and archives management, library science and information technology, archaeological research, Indology are some important fields in this regard. Now, let's talk about the application of arts and the evolution of different job opportunities due to art. The visual and performing arts are primarily looked upon as the means of entertainment for people. The artist performs primarily with this purpose. However, there is a scope to combine an artistic creation with utility value to make it economically viable or use it as an economic project. Thus, an artistic creation with any uses is called applied art. Industry and advertisement, interior design and production of ornamental object, art design of stage backdrops, art direction for films and television, creating attractive layouts of books, magazines, calligraphy, production of greeting cards, invitation cards, customized stationery, gift objects, etc., are the fields of applied arts in the modern world today. The field of architecture, photography are also part of applied arts. Nowadays, still and animated graphics created with the help of computers are used for various purposes. This also is included in applied art. Ornaments, artistic creation of metals, earthen pots with colorful designs, objects made from cane and bamboo, beautiful glass objects, attractive textiles and clothing, etc., all can be listed under applied arts. Every field mentioned before requires a detailed planning and meticulous management at every stage of production. Meticulous means showing great attention to detail. It is essential to employ trained and skilled individuals at every stage. Some of the production processes of artistic objects have a history of certain traditions. The development of each productive process has its own history. Hence, the syllabi of training courses of art design include the history of various industrial and cultural traditions. There are a few institutions in India which offer technical and occupational training in the mentioned fields before. Among them is the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, which is a world-renowned institute. This institute has introduced an online course since 2015. Well, students, now let's have a quick revision of the video through question and answers. The first question is a short note on Gol Gumbaz. We know that Gol Gumbaz is located at Bijapur in Karnataka. It was built during the 17th century CE and is basically the burial house of Muhammad Adil Shah of Bijapur. We also know that the building is named and there is a round gallery inside it. Even a slight whisper by a person standing in the gallery can be heard everywhere. If someone claps inside this gallery, it echoes can be heard many times. The next short note we are going to talk about is art. We learned that art history is an independent branch of knowledge in present times. We also looked at how art historians can work in the field of journalism. Art market is an independent field. We also learned that heritage management and cultural tourism are recently developed in the field of art. The last short note we are going to talk about is the Kitab-e-Navras. The ruler of Bijapur, Ibrahim Adil Shah II, wrote a text in Dakhni Urdu language which was named as Kitab-e-Navras. This text basically talks about the Indian classical music and consists of verses sung in the Dhrupad style, which is the Hindustani classical music. Thank you, students, and hope you enjoyed this video and understood the whole chapter.